This is a Disney movie, so it's for the kids, right?
Quasimodo!
Wow, this movie is awesome. Why is it so underrated? The Hunchback of Notre Dame, directed by Gary Trousdon and Kirk Wise, and is the 34th animated classic from Disney Animation, and tells the story of, based on the classic Victor Hugo novel, of a deformed man, Quasimodo, who's been living in the Bells Tower of Notre Dame in Paris in the 1600s, and is under the care of his evil and despicable master, Judge Claude Frollo, who wants to rid the world of gypsies, and falls in love with the beautiful gypsy dancer Esmeralda, who also Captain Phoebus may have some affections for. And it's up to Quasimodo, with the help of his gargoyle pals, to save Esmeralda, befriend Phoebus, and defeat Frollo and save Paris and be accepted by society. Now, when The Hunchback of Notre Dame came out 20 years ago, I cannot believe it's been 20 years, doesn't time fly? I mean, when it came out at the time, people really didn't appreciate it. It was considered way too dark and inappropriate for younger viewers, which is why many parents at the time complained to Disney that this is what you show our kids. It is genuinely forgotten about today, but now, thankfully, many Disney fans consider it an underrated masterpiece, and I can gladly say I agree with you all. This film is, indeed it is an underrated masterpiece. This is an absolutely wonderful, ambitious, and dark and epic and beautiful Disney animated film that should not be forgotten. First of all, this is the only Disney film based on a Victor Hugo story. I mean, Victor Hugo was, of course, a French author in the 1800s who wrote classic books, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame is by far his most famous creation. And his books, they are dark and depressing as fuck, and the original stories does not have a happy ending. So the fact that Disney would actually attempt to adaptate one of these into an animated family film is beyond ambitious. It's such a shame they've never done it or touched a subjects like this again. This film touches subjects like discrimination, genocide, persecution, and rape, and lust, and murder, and execution, and oh my gosh, this truly is one of Disney's darkest, if not the darkest, motion picture they have ever produced, along with The Black Cauldron. And I applaud Disney for not making this just a happy-go-lucky kiddie fest with no tension, no dark elements to it whatsoever. I mean, come on, parents, if the film was like that, it would be boring as shit. It would not resonate with us as well at all. So I'm glad classic Disney movies like this taught kids that the world isn't perfect, bad things are gonna happen, but that makes you appreciate the good times even more, and if you're strong you can get through it. Quasimodo is a brilliant protagonist. He may not look physically what you'd expect a protagonist to be. He's a deformed man, but he looks adorable for a deformed man. And he's so sweet on the inside, you completely forget about his appearance physically, and he's a kind, loving guy who just wants to explore the world and has been shut in his entire life. And his master Frollo has falsely led him to believe that the world is a dark and horrible place. He won't accept him. You really feel for the guy, and I think every kid can relate to Quasimodo because we've all been discriminated for being different in some way. And it but if you try, you can make friends, you can be accepted. And Esmeralda, she is one of the best, most underrated female characters in Disney history. She is so badass and so kind-hearted, and she sees the good in Quasimodo and helps him uh, get through this tough time. And she can actually look after herself, and she doesn't have to be saved by a prince every 5 seconds. And that goat that stays with her throughout the film, he's adorable, he's awesome. And even Phoebus, while many might consider him to be the least interesting character of our protagonist, he's a very interesting character. He starts out as a kind of a jerk who does work for Frollo, unfortunately, but through Frodo's actions, and he does eventually realise, oh, Frollo's a dick, I can't do this, I can't work for him or murder innocents, and you come to really like him at the end. That's character development, and both Quasi and Phoebus have a dynamic where they both like Esmeralda, they both want the same girl, but they learn to put aside their differences and work together because there are more important matters. And Judge Claude Frollo, the villain, wow. If you thought the witch from Snow White was bad, if you thought the devil from Fantasia was evil, you thought Gaston, Jafar and Scar were too much for you to handle, you ain't seen nothing yet. Frollo is a truly amazing antagonist. We've never had a Disney villain like this guy. He attempts to drown a baby, he attempts genocide on the gypsies, he makes contact with hell itself, confessing confessing he wants to just rape Esmeralda, and attempts to burn Esmeralda at the stake, and oh my gosh, you absolutely hate this bastard throughout the entire movie. You cannot wait for him to get his comeuppance. What makes him a perfect antagonist for this film is that he's everything Quasimodo, our protagonist, does not represent. While Quasimodo is kind and loving inside, Frollo is the complete opposite of that. He believes genocide and doing what he's doing is actually justified, and Frodo never sees himself in the wrong. He always has to blame somebody else, and has completely lied to Quasimodo his entire life about the world being dark and cruel. But Quasimodo finally realises by the end of the film the only dark and cruel thing about the world is people like Frollo. About the gargoyles, I know everybody says they're the weakest part of the film, because they're just there for comic relief and create tonal whiplash in a dark movie, but I don't mind the gargoyles. I think they're great fun. I think we do need occasional comic relief, otherwise the film would be a little too dark and a little too difficult to get through. We need comic relief to help us appreciate the good times, and they are a great conscience for Quasimodo. They really help him. They never give up on him. They always help him find his confidence and do the right thing in the end. That's something that's really overlooked about them, and people say they just come alive in Quasimodo's imagination, but they do interact with the world around them, so they can't be imagined. Not only is the story brilliant, as I've just said, with all the dark themes it covers, but the pacing is superb. The pacing is perfectly done. You will never be bored. Adults especially will be engaged, as it's more adult aimed than any Disney film I've ever seen, and this is a perfect film for parents to watch with their kids. It is never boring from the get-go. It is action-packed. It truly has you on the edge of your seats and gasping what's going to happen next, and the stakes are raised as the movie goes on, especially in the third act. And it's not predictable either. There are so many unexpected twists that you don't see coming, and that's a nice breath of fresh air from Disney's predictable writing. And the animation is absolutely stunning. It is beautifully done and holds up perfectly 2 decades later. I mean, just the look of Notre Dame is spectacular. The artistry that went into it, unbelievable. And even the look of Paris looks great. It looks like a magnificent living, breathing city. This is what hand-drawn animation can do, what CGI cannot. And even if there is CGI in the film, it's only used when necessary and really effectively. It helps create such a dramatic lighting for the fire scenes and the crowd scenes where there's literally hundreds of thousands of people. And the soundtrack to this film, Alan Menken's score, is a fucking masterpiece. It's epic and authentic in every way you'd expect from a score by Alan Menken. Bells of Notre Dame, a grand and powerful and awe-inspiring opening to the film that immediately draws you in. And Out There is a lovely song which helps explains Quasimodo's motivation to be accepted, and God Help the Outcast's beautiful song which touches on the subject of prejudice. And Heaven's Lights is a very underrated song. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it's a beautiful love song which helps Quasimodo's desire for Esmeralda. And Hellfire, one of the greatest Disney villain songs ever. It is probably Disney's darkest moments, when Frodo's just singing by the fireplace and making contact with the devil and hell himself, confessing his lust for Esmeralda and talking about burning her alive if she refuses to be with him. Geez, Disney, don't scare the kids too much. And The Course of Miracles is a fun, catchy song which helps understand why the gypsies would be terrified of any intruders, given the state they're in. I know everyone's favourite song is Hellfire, but my personal favourite is Bells of Notre Dame. I don't think you can beat that, and there are some genuinely frightening and ambitious scenes here which you won't see from Disney anywhere else, like the moment when Quasimodo disobeys Frodo and goes to the festival and is made the fool, and he's tied up, pelted with fruit, and completely humiliated. It's horrible to watch. There's a moment when Frollo's just burning all of Paris to the ground and in search for Esmeralda, and he orders Phoebus to burn an innocent family alive, believing they are hiding something when they're clearly not. And thankfully Phoebus doesn't obey Frollo, but Frollo does hit himself. I'm like, that's absolutely horrific. And this film thankfully delivers a grand finale, the climax and final battle at Notre Dame, with Quasimodo breaking free, saving Esmeralda from being burnt at the stake, and the villagers finally taking a stand to Frollo, and Quasi and Esmeralda's final battle with Frodo on the cathedral, and Frollo's epic villain death falling into the fiery pits. Oh, you just scream, you go, damn, this movie's awesome. And the ending is so sweet when Quasi's finally praised as a hero and accepted into society. They realise he's been their friend all along. And so The Hunchback of Notre Dame, what can I say? I don't have any flaw with this film. I do not see why this film isn't appreciated or remembered more. It's truly underrated. I'd say it's one of the better films of the Disney Renaissance. I'm being serious. And if you ever get a chance to watch this film with your family, please do. Please spread the love and give this film more love because it truly deserves it. It's a shame that Disney have never made a film like this ever again since. I give The Hunchback of Notre Dame 5 stars out of 5. Well, I love you guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. And what do you think of Hunchback of Notre Dame? Please comment and let me know. If you like this video and subscribe. Please follow us and on Google+. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.